Senzo Meyiwa's longtime friend, Tumelo Madlala, has finally wrapped up his testimony in the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria, Botswana. The defense has poked holes in his testimony, questioning the inconsistency of his version of events. Madlala was in the house on the night the soccer star was shot and killed during an alleged robbery. Meyiwa's friend insists allegations leveled against him and those who were in the Foslores house that fateful night are nothing but lies. Our reporter Silindelo Masikane, following this trial, she was in court earlier today, joining us now to give us an update after court having adjourned for this week. They'll be back in court on Monday. Silindelo, good afternoon. So what were the highlights this morning in court?
Well, some of the highlights include the fact that re-examination of Tumelo Madlala has officially concluded, and we saw the state, of course, posing some questions of clarity, really trying to see whether Madlala could just clarify some of those statements that he made during the cross-examination. We know that Madlala, of course, has been in the witness box since September, and in terms of this week, this would have marked 3 weeks of him sitting in that hot seat. But for more analysis and to unpack Madlala's time in the witness box, I am joined by legal expert, that is Mr. Zola Majabu. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon, sir. Maybe let's just start with your analysis of Madlala's testimony, just in terms of his entire sitting as of September. What have you picked up in terms of Madlala as a witness?
Good afternoon, Slee, and good afternoon, Braden, and our viewers out there. I think the apt and most accurate assessment or characterization of his testimony, in my own view, is that he was the most evasive witness ever. He didn't come across as a credible person. He answered questions with questions. He failed to stick to his guns in terms of the consistency of the version, and he was caught out by both defense counsel, who pointed out inconsistencies with regard to his earlier statements vis-a-vis what he would have said when he gave the doc identification. And without preempting what the judge's final take on his testimony may be, my best bet is that not too much weight would be attached to his testimony on account of his own deportment, his own reluctance to answer simple questions, and wanting to direct the defense or telling the defense what questions he is prepared to answer. So I don't think he assisted the state's case in any significant manner, to be frank.
Maybe then let's talk about the re-examination of Madlala by the states. Do you think State Prosecutor George Baloyi was able to salvage anything? Was there anything that came out of the re-examination that perhaps can save Tumelo Madlala's testimony?
I think, in fairness to Advocate Baloyi, he had a difficult one. Re-examination is a very useful tool that is aimed to give a witness in the stand a second chance, so to speak, to clarify that which he might not have come across as intended, or in the event where under cross-examination that particular witness might have faltered. But in re-examination, he limped from one disaster to another. So the short answer to your question is, I do not think Advocate Baloyi was able to salvage much. In fact, he himself was caught in the trap of seeking to put versions to the witness, which is not necessarily what is typically re-examination material. And as predicted, the defense was on their ball and they objected each step of the way. And in fact, even the judge agreed with the defense insofar as him putting certain versions that were not necessarily testified about in the evidence in chief. He did what he was expected to do, but again, my take and reading of the whole of it is that there wasn't much salvaging that he was able to do. He had a recalcitrant witness who was determined to speak in the manner that he wanted, even when faced with very obvious and simple questions. And I think the judge observed his deportment. And I think even having been given the second bite of the cherry by way of a re-examination, not much really came out of it. I do not think that the judge would be swayed any more than he would have been under cross-examination. I think he was a terrible witness.
Maybe then let's move forward. Let's look forward to next week, Mr. Majavu. We are expecting the fourth state witness. What are your expectations? You know, there are, of course, rumors going around on who it could be. Will it be somebody else in the House? Are we going to start seeing some more forensic evidence, perhaps, in terms of experts? What is your expectation in terms of who should be next in the witness box?
I think, knowing Advocate Baloyi, I would imagine that he would want to build up on that which Mr. Madlala had already started. So my guess is that he would probably want to call another direct eyewitness who would have been in the house at the time. Alternatively, a forensic expert who is going to ratchet it up from what the first state witness started in the form of the crime scene expert. But at the moment, I can assure you that the defense counsel do know exactly who is going to be called next, because usually collegially, you would normally update each other. The state would say, from your list, and as you prepare for witness number 10 or witness number 11, if there were to be a change, they would normally notify their opposite number. So it's not a situation where the defense will rock up on Monday morning and be ambushed with a witness that they did not have their sights on. That's not gonna assist the proceedings. And I know collegially that is what defense and state are known to do. And knowing Advocate Baloyi, I have no difficulty that he would certainly stick on the collegial side. But as to whether or not they're at liberty to disclose who is coming next, we don't know. But my guess is that it will only make sense to follow it up with a witness who would tend to, or who at least can salvage or corroborate that which Mr. Madlala had started.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you for your analysis. That is legal expert Mr. Zola Majavu, just unpacking Tumelo Madlala's time in the witness box. And as you said, as you've stated, Bradan, that he left that witness box in tears, weeping after court proceedings adjourned. And so we resume on Monday at 10 a.m. with a new witness in the box. Back to you, Bradan.